my light is flickering, and now I can't get it to go back up, so this might be a dark. Maybe that sets the tone for what's going to come. Maybe this is going to be a really dark episode or something. Oh well. Whoa. It's flickering now. We'll mess with that. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. I just did that, Tofu, and that got it to turn back on, which is a nice feature. It's nice to have it on, period. But it's going to be blinding me for a whole hour. It's probably not going to be too enjoyable for, more so for me than you. I don't care what you guys think. I just don't want a flickering light for an hour and a half. At me, personally, I don't find that fun. Hello, Funky Eevee. What if it just... It's not a tech problem. Hello, Stu. Thank you for the follow. Welcome into the... It's not an old man tech problem, okay? It's just a light bulb. I'm not... It's not that difficult to figure out, alright? And yeah, you are older than me, alright? I'm not going to dox you or anything, but I've seen... I know how old you are, so don't even start, alright? Don't give me that crap. You too, Saint K. Can I do this using... Probably. By the way, Saint K, I'm going to be yelling at you later in this podcast, and I think you know why. Pretty sure you know why. How do you spell tie? I believe it's just T-I-E. Yeah. You guys don't see that far down though. Since you guys are here, I'll give you a little bit of a behind the scenes. Since you're here early, I'll give you a little bit of a behind the scenes feature. I never wear anything underneath. Like on a Popcast stream, I'm always in my underwear. 100% of the time. You guys would never know. Looking... That's how you ring announce. I've seen one of your Smash commentaries where they switched to a webcam of you. Um, so I've seen your setup, and if you're in underwear doing that, then impressive. Speaking of which, I'm gonna move and not stand up in front of the camera. We will go from there. We need the maid pop gun again. That was a one-time Halloween. One-time Halloween thing. If you're lucky, you'll get a Santa pop gun this year. Cat-made pop gun. Only the wife gets to see cat-made pop gun. Sorry, ladies. Have I seen what's going on with the SAC Twitter? No. What? Oh, I've seen like an Among Us bar or something. I didn't get the context of that. There's been a lot going on Twitter this weekend. Yeet. I don't know if you're aware or not, but the Splatoon world is coming to an end. Or at least it was at some point there. One-time thing or user thing? What? Oh, the CAD-made stuff? Yeah. Alright, it's 12 o'clock. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, while you were appealing your ban from the Nintendo Splatoon North American server, donating $69.69 to the Squid House prize pool, trying to change your team names on Battlefy now that you know that you can make money from it, if it includes something that supports Melee, whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Today, at some point, I'll be talking about High Ink. When last week first started, I was looking at the calendar and I was like, okay, this is going to be the first time in like 9 weeks where there isn't a lower level tournament to talk about. So I thought on Tuesday, oh crap, this is going to be, I'm going to have to come up with something to talk about for this week's episode of the Popcast. If I could go back in time and talk to the Pop Gun of last Tuesday, I would just say, just wait. Just wait. The problem isn't going to be that you don't have enough to talk about. The problem is going to be that you don't have enough time to talk about it all. So let's get into it. Now, I don't normally curse on the podcast. I do occasionally, but normally I don't. Because I know some of you are younglings But good golly, Miss Molly, what happened here? This was just supposed to be a fun little tournament. We, we were just going to beat up on some casuals, then get stomped by like a top 10 team, and then make some jokes about the prizes. Copy of arms. And then call it a day. Like that's how this works, right? Like this is how we've been doing these North American Opens all year. We've done like what 6 of these now. I guess half of them are low ink or turf war. So I guess it's not. I don't know. I feel like we're in the routine now. We know how to go through these North American Opens. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be chaos versus order. It's part 2, except in real life, which chaos has won 2-0 now. It seems like we ultimately turned this simple tournament into open revolt against the creator of the very game that we play. How did we get here? I let's back up. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna recap the entire weekend, including how we even got to this weekend, and then I'm gonna tell you guys, because everybody wants to know. Well, what's next? What's gonna happen? What does this mean? You've come to the right place, my friends, because I'm going to tell you exactly what this means and exactly what is going to happen. Spoiler alert, I don't know and you don't either. But let's assume you have no idea what's going on or anything that happened. First off, if you don't, how do you know I exist? How are you watching the Popcast? This is like a niche thing. Like if you don't understand what's been going on, but you still know and still listen to the podcast, welcome. How did you find me? That's amazing. But let's assume you're one of those people. Quick recap. A Melee tournament, or I guess I should say a Smash tournament in general, called the Big House, was going to happen. Nintendo shut it down because it was using Slippy, which is a fan-made mod of the game Melee, and is the only way that you can play Melee online. Now, Nintendo said, that's a mod. We don't like that. Cease this and desist, which I've come to understand they have a legal right to cancel any kind of broadcast of their product. Now, we've talked about, are they legally right? Possibly. Are they morally right? Hell no. But as a result of that, we, the Splatoon community, realizing that Nintendo is morally wrong here, decided to protest. Not by boycotting the NA Open, but instead, most of the actually it wasn't most, but a good chunk of the teams changed their names to something like Free Melee, Save Smash, FT Wave Dash, or whatever. Just some sort of promotion, or some sort of something to show support to the Melee Smash community by just acknowledging that they exist. That's basically it. That's it. That catches you up to Saturday morning. Let's talk about the tournament itself, okay? Let's talk about the actual ladder stage. I thought it was fine. I thought the ladder was... I thought it served its purpose, which was to give teams an opportunity to play more than just one game against the monster they can't handle. Which would be... but it took a few... It took a few hours probably to get there. I would assume hour 3 and 4 for most teams was competitive, based off of whatever skill level you're at. My team in particular, we played in the first hour. We played 5 teams that had it was amazing. Like they just bought the game that week. 5 teams in a row. We went 5-0 in the first hour. until we, in the second hour started, we came across Luau and then Assault of Pepper, and then we started playing some Blow Ink teams, which wasn't super competitive, but it was at least, all right, these are at least teams that know how competitive is supposed to play. They can at least defend themselves somewhat. But in the first hour, hell, we played a team that used 3 respawn punishers against us, 2 of which were arrow sprays. We played a team that counterpicked Moray Towers against us. One of you in chat counterpicked Clamblitz Port Mackerel against us, and shame on you. You know that's not a viable map. How dare you? One team also used the Splatfest tee, which, if you read the rules, for some reason is illegal. I have no idea why the Splatfest tee is illegal. It literally is a bad ability. The only way the Splatfest tee works to your advantage is if you put a different sub in each slot. Otherwise, mathematically, you are throwing. So I have no idea why the Splatfest tee wasn't allowed, but some team did use it against us, and after we beat them, we pointed it out just so they don't like get robbed of a win down the road. But that was our first hour. I assume for most of you guys, it was your first hour through. That was your first hour too. I remember when we played. When we came across Luau, I think Drew said we were considering dropping because of how uncompetitive the first hour was. So that was a fun. It was a fun tournament. But again, hours 3 through 4 were much better. And the cool thing about Speed Ladder is you can just stop. Like we just decided, hey, let's just take like a 10-minute break. Let's just go for a walk. Let's go eat something. Like there's no pressure to get in games. There's no like, oh, the round ends in 5 minutes. We got to do a league real quick. Like no, we can just do whatever. We can hit this button whenever we want. And that was great. Is Speed Ladder the best format to determine a champion? I don't think so. Our grand finals was FT Wave Dash versus Southern Lights, who changed their name to Melee Lights after day 1. Not going to comment on that. But yeah, that wasn't the most competitive grand finals. Now, to be fair, Southern Lights did earn that spot. I mean, they knocked off the whatever team Melee Nation was. I think that was... I get all the Starburst and Supernova teams mixed up, but that was a good team they beat, so they earned a spot there. But is ladder, when you have close to 300 teams, Bocot Nation, thank you. When you have close to 300 teams, is ladder the best way to whittle it down to a top 64 in 4 hours? I think so. I mean, the best way would be to do like a weekend long LAN, but obviously we can't do stuff like that on a consistent basis. So I think Speed Ladder was fine. I enjoyed it. I feel like a bunch of other people enjoyed it as well. And I hope all the casual teams that played in this, after we got done with them, that they eventually found each other in the later half and had some fun in this tournament as well. I guess the other thing to kind of point out was the maps. And I honestly, I feel like this is a bit of my fault. So I went in Saturday to the help desk and I pointed out, I was like, hey, the maps that you guys put on Twitter aren't in this server. And then they were like, oh, well, they put it in the announcements after that. But they said, the tweet said this was for the top 64 round only. But the announcement, the thing they put in the announcement said, this is for top, or this is for the ladder stage too, which I was like, okay, cool. So when somebody comes at me and says, hey, we're doing Clam Blitz at Port Mackerel, I can be like, no, we're not. That's dumb. We're doing something else. But I assume the TOs realized that, like, if a casual team were to counterpick Moray Tower against us, and I would say, you need to check the Discord server because that map's illegal, they're going to be like, what's a Discord? So I think they realized they couldn't make that adjustment last minute, which is why they ultimately came to the conclusion of, well, let's just let them do every map, which is fine. When we played actual teams, everybody pretty much used the actual map list. I mean, those are the maps we practice anyways. So it wasn't that big of an issue. Maybe I did keep an eye on Helix Carrot, and every time I watched you guys, it seemed like you were doing Port Mackerel, which you won every time I saw. But it was like I don't think Helix is purposely picking Port Mackerel. I feel like they're just getting screwed over with their opponent's counter picks there constantly. So maybe my experience is different from you guys, but who knows? Who knows? So the maps ultimately got clear, but that was a bit of a confusion, and that's just something I want to point out because I feel like if I didn't mention something earlier in the help desk, it wouldn't have caused all those issues. And Herbert, I did see your comment in help desk, and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a fair criticism to give out. But I digress. It all started when ladder stage ended. First, they told us that the top cut or top 64 was going to start in 10 to 15 minutes. Cool. It takes that time to probably build the actual bracket on Battlefy. They had 4 different brackets they were basically doing. It's going to take a little bit of time. I understand that. You understand it. We're all cool. 16 minutes after the hour, we get this announcement. And I'm going to read it word from word. And when it got put in announcement, our first thought was, okay, this is just going to say, okay, here it is. It was just going to say, hey, the round started, have your sets done by whatever, here's the map list or whatever. I was like, okay, cool, this is why we're looking at an announcement. Here's what the announcement read. And this is the images that precede Doom or whatever that Twitter account is. If this isn't up there, I don't know what is. In fact, I will say this right now. That one jackass that said, I might be a pedophile, but I'm still really good at the game. You have been unseated as the dumbest thing ever posted out. And this is it right here. At everyone, due to unexpected executional challenges, we had to forego a live stream for this tournament's finals. Oh no. Oh no. First off, I had to Google what executional meant because in my first mind I was like, are they like beheading somebody? What does that even mean? So there we go. We know what that actually means. But let's just sit on that for a second, because if I could literally spend 2 hours talking about that one statement alone, but we're doing a recap. We'll come back to this. Just plant that in your head. But that announcement comes out. At that point, all hell broke loose. This started a total chaos. First off, people went to general chat and just started spamming what you knew they were going to do. You knew they were going to do. They started spamming free melee, all right? Then Zillard posts a copy pasta, which I don't have a full memory of what it said word for word, but it basically was just saying Nintendo wants us to use ancient technology in the future still to play Melee. That's basically what it said. Was it a diss at Nintendo? Yeah. Is it something worth getting banned over? No. But people took it and just spammed the living snot out of it into the general chat. Which okay, look. As a TO, and this has happened in Lowing too. If you're spamming in anything, in like a help desk or a general chat, you're gonna get warned or banned. It's going to happen, whether it's for a protest or not. It's understandable that you're gonna get some punishment for that. And I I ain't pointing this out, but it was absolutely hilarious. Somebody took the copy pasta and translated it into Spanish and put it in the Spanish help desk. It got deleted, but Z on our team took a screenshot of it, and that was absolutely hilarious. Again, as a fellow TO who does some light TOing for low ink, that's frustrating if it happens to you. But as somebody just watching whoever did that, that was hilarious. I'm sorry. That was hilarious. But anyways, and here's the other issue. The round of top 64 didn't actually start until 45 minutes after the top of the hour. So keep in mind, they posted this at 5:16. We're canceling the stream. And the tournament didn't actually start till 5:45. So they just dropped this bomb on us and just gave us 30 minutes to process it. What did you think was going to happen? Oh my gosh. Again, we'll get back to that. But people that were spamming, they got banned. My assumption is, and what I've been told by people who have inside information, that sounds sketchy, I know, but it wasn't a decision made by RTOs, like the people from our community that were running the tournament, but more so from the Battle 5 folks that are representing Nintendo that was like, hey, clean this stuff up. These rebellious people, throw them all in jail. And I'm assuming a good chunk of you in chat right now are currently banned from the North American Splatoon server. You rogues, you dastardly villains, you. How dare you? My goodness. So, the round starts at 5:45. Who cares? Who cares at that point? We played Inkstrike Inklings round 1, and then we played Temptation round 2, and that Temptation knocked us out. But during that, we weren't paying attention to the games. After we play one game round 1, we're immediately looking at Twitter. We're like, whoa, what is going on here? Leffen retweeted this? Hungry Box knows about it now? What is going on here? Oh, the game started. Okay, we should probably play. Now what's going on? Who's saying what about Twitter? This was insane. This blew up. Slimy made that tweet. Basically calling out Nintendo's like, hey, they canceled the stream. This is what's going on. And then that tweet exploded. That tweet Slimy made is probably the most interacted with tweet that's ever contained the word Splatoon in it. I would be surprised if there's anything bigger than that. From what I've told, this was the biggest Nintendo related thing on Twitter since they announced Steve for Smash Brothers. Somebody might be able to confirm that with me or not. I don't know. But this exploded. This absolutely exploded. And this started, and it wasn't just, like I said, it wasn't just Splatoon. It was the Smash people that were picking up on it as well. That's what really started to transcend it. Because the Smash people have been around a lot longer than us. We don't exist as a community unless Smash exists. That is a fact. So the fact that these big name Smash players started bringing it around, and that everybody started noticing what was going on, the fact that we were showing support for Melee, and that Nintendo was punishing us for it, that blew this way over the water. So then conspiracy theories start floating around. Keep in mind, the actual tournament is still going on at this point, but nobody cares. Again, my team was playing in it. We didn't even care. We were more interested in what Twitter was going on. Later, but conspiracy theories starts going around. Somebody said, Zuno, excuse me, IPL should probably try to stream this tournament. Because when Nintendo announced they weren't going to stream it, they weren't going to let anybody else do it. So it was suggested, what if IPL did it? Now, IPL, I don't think we made a direct statement that said, like, using the IPL Twitter, that like, hey, we're not touching this. We're not doing anything with this. But it was basically like it was basically stated. I think JPEG might have said something publicly like, hey, we're not doing anything. Because IPL wouldn't. Because why would you? Why, as a major streaming tournament organization, would you try to steal the top four from Nintendo and run a protest tournament and essentially cancel their tournament? Why would you do that? So, later that night, during a conversation I was having in a private server, I got a DM from a source who is in the know. Let's just say that at 1:42 a.m. and it read this: "You don't even know. Org heads have some info we're not sharing, but this is big. Tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, what? What are you talking about?" And they didn't elaborate on that. But I went to Twitter, and I saw this tweet that was sent from in-game TV, which was a retweet, where they were just doing the emote, right? And the tweet they were retweeting was, "Wouldn't it be terrible if the top four dropped out of the official tournament and then folk streamed a separate top four themselves?" And then I thought, no, they're not going to try to steal this tournament, are they? There's no way. There is no way they're legit going to try to steal this tournament. About an hour later, it was official. In-game came out in the dead of night. This is like, what, 2:30 in the morning Eastern time? And said that they're stealing the top four. They're doing a new tournament called the Squid House with a starting prize pool of $1,000. This tweet right here is going to be looked on for years upon years as far as the Splatoon community is concerned. This is the turning point in everything since the word Splatoon was first uttered at an E3 has built up to this moment. And war was officially declared with that tweet. Then at 3:20 in the morning, I get a DM from Slimy, which I assume a good chunk of you did as well, basically saying, "Hey, someone from the Smash community," and forgive me, I don't know exactly who this person is from the Smash community. The DM I got just said some like a benefactor from the Smash community. It didn't name the person. Was going to send $25 per person per team that had a Smash related name to it. So, and with that ended Saturday night. I did not sleep Saturday night. I did not sleep Saturday night at all. I knew. I thought this was it. I thought if Nintendo somehow finds a way to shut this down, we're done. Like, I felt like the community would have just completely revolted. I felt like everybody would have just completely left Nintendo altogether. I thought there's so much on the line right now. And I didn't sleep. I legit stayed. I put my phone down at like 5 a.m. And then I just laid there till about 6. And I finally fell asleep. And I thought when I woke up, I was going to read a tweet that said, "This is off. This has been canceled. Everything has just been canceled." Sunday, I wake up at about noon. My wife and I have a tradition where every Sunday we go eat brunch together, which is nice. It's nice to look forward to a consistent time to hang out with your wife. That no matter what happens, like that is always going to be there. And I really love the pancakes at our breakfast spot, so I was looking forward to that. I saw the tournament was official. Squid House was official. The top four had officially said in their private top four chat that, "Hey, we're dropping out from this tournament. Sorry." The top eight said the same thing. They weren't going to play, and of course they had to do it. Could you imagine if the like teams 5 through 8 actually played in that tournament? Like this is like a don't cross the picket line kind of thing at this point. But I mean, of course they said no. But I mean, they're kind of put into a situation where they had to say no. Because really, the top 8 teams 5 through 8, they didn't have anything to gain for this. They didn't get any of the prize money that they for not playing in the Squid House and not playing in the NA Open. They just did what they felt was right, which was we can't take this spot because we know we're going to get killed for it, and probably that is true. But Nintendo didn't shut it down. And here's the stats from the tournament, the Squid House tournament. It fell just shy of 8,000 live viewers at one point. The max it got up to was like 7,900 something. It was so close to that. And the $1,000 starting prize pool grew to over $25,000 in the span of what? An hour and a half? That is insane. It got stopped. It got capped at $25,000. I didn't know prize money could be capped at something. I don't know what the actual like the final total was. The biggest I saw it was $27,000, which I believe the excess money got donated to something. It might have been higher than that. I don't officially know. But I didn't even know prize money could be capped at something. I don't know why it was. I'm sure there's a good reason. But we as a Splatoon community have no idea. We're not used to seeing those kinds of numbers. You guys are saying 28,000. Okay, that sounds legit. And by the way, now that I got you all here, Low Inc. a couple of months ago, to celebrate their 2-year anniversary, upped the prize pool from $40 to $200. And a lot of people were butthurt about that because you shouldn't be supporting lower level teams. You should be supporting higher level teams. We just had a tournament that gave out $25,000 to the best teams in North America. So the next time Low Inc. wants to give out $200, y'all can just shut up, all right? I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear a single word about it. Let it go. But and from what my understanding is that $3,000 per FT Win player, or that each player on FT Win basically took home $3,000 of that. What is that like? How does that work? Does that get taxed? You have to. I'm assuming that you have to report that on your tax report next year. But does the IRS take a portion of that? Think about the amount of money we're talking about here for Splatoon. Like we're like, these are things that guy. That guy who's constantly posting about the financial advice Splatoon server, maybe we should actually go to that guy now that we're talking about thousands of dollars worth of prize money being given out. And it is worth noting, the vast majority of the people donating to this and the vast majority of the people actually viewing this tournament are from the Smash community. So we had a ton of people watching this tournament that were basically they are aware of Splatoon, but as far as the actual game of Splatoon is, they're probably just casuals. They've probably never seen it. And you saw the broadcast. And by the way, hats off to Matt and Riza for commentating this, because they did a really fantastic job. They realized the audience they were talking to probably had no idea what the heck was actually going on during the game. So you could tell they had to like change their style a little bit. Like when Stu and I do Low Inc., it's kind of assumed, or at least I approach it with the mindset that whoever is watching this probably has an idea of what is going on stream. And we're just kind of like giving context behind like the more in-depth competitive mindset of what's actually going on. To actually explain Splatoon to someone who has no idea what it is, keep in mind this is the biggest stream ever for Splatoon. This is the most important stream ever for Splatoon. And you have to change your commentary style to adapt to that on the fly. That is really that is really impressive. And hats off to those two. Again, Matt, who I believe goes by Ninja, and Riza. You did a fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job. But that capped off. That capped off our weekend right there. So let's dive back into a few things and then decide what all this means. Is my wife home from work? Possibly. First off, the announcement of the stream being canceled. I have no idea. I have no idea why they would do this. Right before top 64. That makes there is no reason why announcing this, the time and place that they did, made any sense at all for anybody. If you're going to cancel the stream, why just wait till Sunday? Make the announcement. They did it right before the break, or they did it during the break and gave us 30 minutes where we couldn't play the game because the bracket wasn't up yet, to just sit there and think about it. So the fact that this blew up in Nintendo's face, of course it did. That announcement makes absolutely no sense, and it's obvious. I haven't seen anything official to clarify this, but if you can just kind of glean by looking at this, that the ladder stage ended, and they looked at the top 54, and they saw the names of the teams in the top, or in the top 54. They saw the teams in the top 64, and were like, "Oh, these guys they're mocking us for what we did to Melee a couple of weeks ago. Well, we can't have this. We can't have this on stream. We can't have commentators say the word FT wave dash. That would be the worst thing ever. Oh no." So they canceled the stream. I'm willing to bet you that nobody looked at the team names or looked at the community, what the community was doing to protest this tournament the way that we were until ladder stage ended. I bet you that. Now, obviously, RTOs, the TOs in this tournament, I call them R because they come from our community. These are our guys, and they did a really good job. They were put in a no-win situation, by the way. And I don't know if people are harassing them or not. Don't. Stop it. Don't. Those guys had nothing to do with the bull crap that went on this past weekend. Absolutely none at all. These guys have helped build our community from the bottom up. And I don't speak for them, but I know they can't comment on any of this stuff. I know they can't comment on any of this stuff. But they did a really good job, and they were put in a no-win situation, and I feel like they did a really good job of doing that. And they probably knew what was coming. If you want to blame anybody for this, it's Nintendo. And all these decisions to cancel the stream, the decisions to start banning people from the server, that all came from the top on down. I can't confirm that, but you would have to be really... I cannot be convinced otherwise. Until somebody comes out and says definitively, here is what happened, I am going to put the blame 100% on Nintendo, and I would advise you to do the same. Not the TOs. But it's so obvious that they didn't understand. They didn't heal it. The fact that they waited until after ladder to cancel the stream proves they didn't understand. Nintendo didn't hear us. Otherwise, they would have said something earlier. They would have done something earlier. It was, look, our cute tournament has ended. Let's look at the top 10. Melee Nation, Melee Lights, FT Wave Dash. Whoa, we can't be doing this. Stop, shut this down. I'm assuming people were like, oh, we shouldn't announce that right now because we're about to do top 64 and it's going to slow things down. And they're like, nah, just announce it. They don't care. I wonder. I just wonder. And I could probably talk about that forever, but I do have to eventually eat food. So let's move on here. I want to talk about in-game TV. First off, how did they pull this off? My assumption is that they had to have known that something like this was going to happen because all of us kind of knew something like this was going to happen. The reason we changed our names to Melee Nation and Free Smash and all that stuff is because we were poking Nintendo. We knew what we were doing, and we knew there was eventually going to be a reaction. We wanted them to cancel the stream. We either wanted them to say Melee Nation on stream Sunday, or we were going to get them to cancel it. That was our intent, and they did it. So, the fact that they were able to, in-game TV was able to come up with, let alone, they came up with the graphics for this thing in less than 12 hours. And threw together this whole tournament and raised $25,000, got 8,000 viewers in something they literally, seemingly just pulled completely out of their butt and presented to us. Like somebody just Saturday night took a dump and was like, oh, this is the best thing Splatoon has ever created. Here you go. That is so amazing. Now, when that tweet went out, they're taking this tournament. The top 4 are going to join Squid House. There's only 2 outcomes that I can seemingly come up with that would be the outcome of what would happen to this. A, the tournament actually happens and we as a community gain the whole world. Or B, the tournament gets ceased and desist. They're not going to be allowed to broadcast it. People everywhere get pushed over the edge, frustrated with Nintendo, and we lose everything. This is why I didn't sleep Saturday night, or this is why I couldn't sleep Saturday night, because I knew what was at stake. Now, option A eventually happened. So we praise in-game TV, and it's deserved. I'm going to be slightly critical, but I believe everything in-game TV is going to get is deserved in the coming days or weeks or whatever. They created the best thing Splatoon has ever seen, and they deserve some praise for that. But that doesn't change the fact that they did gamble the soul of our community Saturday night. They really did, because if that didn't work out well, if that didn't go the way that it did, we could be having a completely different conversation today. We could be talking about the end of Splatoon in general. We could be talking about you guys might not even be here. You guys might be just like, I'm done with Splatoon in general. I'm going to something else. I'm going to some company that actually supports their esports. And that was a huge gamble. And I don't know, and I might get flack for this, but I truly believe this. I don't know if it's fair for in-game TV to make that gamble on our behalf. Now, again, ultimately, it paid off, and we all are going to reap. We all are going to accept the benefits of what just happened with that. But it doesn't change the fact that it was a huge gamble that ultimately did play off in our favor. And again, 5 years from now, wherever Splatoon is 5 years from now, it's going to be 100% direct reflection of what happened when that tweet was first announced. That we're taking this tournament, they're going to drop out, and the starting prize is $1,000. Now, what does this mean going forward? I don't know. And you don't know either. You don't. Now, I wrote these notes last night, and that being said, I saw this morning that Nine has officially announced that there is going to be a tourney at some point with a starting prize of $2,500. This is okay. That's awesome. That's really awesome. For the scene to grow, I don't think we can keep doing tournaments where our more well established community leaders are just like, hey, I'm starting a tournament and here's this huge prize pool to start off with. Eventually, we're going to need to start getting sponsors. We're going to need to start getting support from, like we got from Smash. We're just starting needing to get support from outside of the community. And maybe this 9 tournament is just another step in that direction of getting us even more exposure. And I don't know anything about this tournament other than the tweet that it got sent out and that the starting prize was $2,500. But that's a good step in the right direction. But what else does last weekend mean? First off, we're not getting another North American Open. I'm telling you that right now. We're not getting more. Don't look for a Turf War tournament in February. We just I would be genuinely shocked and surprised if we got more North American Opens going forward, at least initially. And like I said last week, for us to grow as a community, we don't need Nintendo's help. We don't. We haven't gotten it up to this point. Look at Melee. Nintendo's actively been working against Melee. We found out through that twit longer. They've been working against them for years. And Melee, the reason that we had a huge prize pool yesterday and all those views is because of Melee. So a community that's been actively suppressed by Nintendo is still doing a lot better than what we currently are. So there's proof that we don't need Nintendo's help. It'd be nice if Nintendo wasn't actively working against us. And to this point, Nintendo hasn't been actively working against Splatoon. Canceling the stream was their first step backwards away from us. So now the question becomes, what's next for Nintendo? We're sitting here and we're all just like waiting for a response. You know, like somebody's just going to come up to a podium and just, you know, like make a grand statement about Splatoon. I don't think that's going to happen. But a lot of us are just kind of sitting here thinking, like we broke a lamp at our house. And then mom is like, you wait till your dad gets home and then he's going to talk to you. And we're just kind of sitting here and we're waiting and we're like, is dad going to spank us? Is dad going to ground us for a month? Or is dad going to be super cool and be like, hey son, you broke that lamp. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put you to work. I'm going to take you to McDonald's. You're going to buy that lamp back, but you're also going to learn responsibility. Then you're going to make more money. You're going to have a job. You're going to have a resume. And you know what? I'm going to support you. I'm going to drive you to work until you make enough money to buy yourself a car. How about that? And then you're just like, oh, dad, that's cool. I'm sorry to break the lamp. I didn't mean to do that. I'm glad us breaking the lamp allowed us to have our first conversation ever with our dad. It made us feel closer. It made us feel like a family. Maybe that's what would happen, because that would be really cool, right? Imagine a world like this. Imagine a world where we knew going into the North American Open that the actual grand prize was not going to be some trophies. By the way, those trophies are going to become like legendary collector items that these are going to be the lost relics of Nintendo Splatoon lore, whatever happens to those trophies. But if we knew that wasn't going to be the actual prize, but instead the real prize was going to be $25,000, right? What if we knew that a month ago? Imagine what this tournament would have been like if we had if we just had in-game TV control this tournament from the beginning and used Nintendo's name and support. Like in-game created everything and then Nintendo brought in all of the casuals that would normally sign up for a Nintendo tournament and help support it. And maybe the prize pool actually came from Nintendo instead of us. Wow, could you imagine? Could you imagine that? And then we could do that? Like, if that was every NA Open? Oh my God. That would be huge. We would be talking about, Splatoon would be on a completely different level. a completely different level if that were the case. And that could be it. That's what's so frustrating. That could be it. And that image is what Melee has been crying, begging for 20 years. And Nintendo has refused to even do anything about that. So I'm not holding my breath thinking that's what's going to happen for us. But man, that's who we could be. We could be that, but Nintendo is playing. So until that happens, until Nintendo gets their head out of their ass, until we find a new way forward without Nintendo, let's just live in the moment for now. Let's just soak in everything that happened this past weekend, and let's enjoy it. This weekend was Splatoon's finest hour. But while we wait for a response, if there even is one, let's keep getting better. There's still a lot of things going on this month that we need to, we don't need, but a lot of things going on this month that are going to get more attention. High Ink is this upcoming weekend. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Low Ink is next weekend. SOS happening this week. Testing Grounds is going to be coming back. Tons of other tournaments. Launch Point is happening this upcoming Sunday. I believe registration for that is already closed. I'll be talking about that on next week's episode of the Popcast. So the scene's not going anywhere. We still have a bunch of tournaments to go with. Midway happened directly after the NA Open on Sunday. I haven't even looked at that, honestly. So there's still a lot of tournaments. Nothing has changed for now. In fact, things have only improved for now. But let's just appreciate what happened. And let's just enjoy it. Because we don't know how much longer this is all going to go on. We don't. And we're so quick to get ahead of ourselves and just try to like be the first person to be like, here's what this means going forward. We don't know, guys. Let's just enjoy what happened. Let's soak it in and let's move forward. And that is all I have to say about the NA Open. So let's get some water. We'll talk about High Ink and then we'll take a break for lunch. That's we're done with that. I have not been totally keeping up with chat, by the way. So I don't know what's been going on with you guys. But somebody's mentioning something about FLC. I know FLC dropped something. I haven't looked at it yet. But I'll probably be waiting for Splatoon 3. Yeah, I'm sure Nintendo is just thrilled to push out Splatoon 3 now. They're probably throwing it into the fire pits of hell. They won't play in our tournament. We'll show them. Someone suggested a team-up tournament with Smash and Splatoon players. Like a reverse main bracket kind of thing. That would be interesting. So I don't want to... Obviously, there's still more to talk about with this. But we are going to switch topics. Smoothly or not. We are going to switch topics to High Ink briefly. Because you guys wanted my opinion on that for some reason. So we're going to do just that. All right. High Ink. First off, there seems to be a lot of confusion about what High Ink is. When High Ink first got announced, there were people in the Low Ink help desk being like, can I play in High Ink? What are the maps? When are the maps going to be released? Or like, how do I know if I'm eligible for High Ink or not? And it's like, okay. So let me explain what High Ink is once and for all. High Ink is an invitational tournament exclusive to teams that have won Low Ink in the past. By the way, thanks to all the people that have been following. I get caught up in my rants. I never really take time to actually thank individual people. But this is going up on YouTube and it'll be up there forever. So somebody 6 years from now will look back at this and think, oh, cool. Code Red 1057. That's the moment he followed Popgun, or they followed Popgun. I don't know your gender. But High Inc. is an invitational tournament. Just for the winners of Low Inc. The teams were announced last week. And if you aren't aware, I will read them out to you right now. Priority White Wolves, Destiny Troops. I need to change their name back from @Freeze Melee for this tournament. Xanadu, the West Broadway Grillers, Collapsia, Blue Ring Kraken, Luau, Splatter Swim, Chai Tai, Assault and Pepper, and Primera. Now, that list of teams was announced last week. Experts agree that announcing the list of teams was a bad idea because, as a lot of you pointed out, this isn't balanced. Well, no, it's not. It's not balanced. Well, let me just say this. A lot of people were upset about how unbalanced this tournament was, which is true. But all of the people that were upset about it aren't playing in the tournament anyways. Why are you mad at High Inc. for not being like perfectly balanced? And how would you even make it perfectly balanced? The players that are actually playing in High Inc. don't care. They don't care. My team cares about playing High Inc., but we're not like looking at this of like, how are we gonna beat Priority? I was in a VC with Xanadu last week, and I was talking to them. I was like, so how you guys feeling about High Inc? And Frosh was just like, oh, we're recruiting right now. We're more interested in trying to find a new player for our team. I was like, oh, okay. I don't think Xanadu even knew who was playing. I talked to Kami from Luau. I was like, what are your thoughts on Low Inc. or High Inc? And he was just like, I'm just looking for some place where I can play. School's closing down, so I need a new place to play for the tournament. And I was like, oh, it's like nobody even cares about this. We don't. I mean, here's the thing. Priority is going to win this. That's not a surprise. Priority won Splatter Swim, or not Splatter Swim. What is it? Swim or Sink? They won Swim or Sink last Wednesday. They beat Desire, didn't they? So, okay, you got to think Priority is going to win this one. Chai Tai is a dark horse to win this one. Be interesting to see what they're doing. They're a really good team that disbanded. Collapsia is a really good team. Collapsia, they won in February. I believe they were the last team since Splatter Swim in October to go undefeated in a Low Inc. Not like per game, but like a per match. Collapsia, I remember we played Collapsia in that February. We played them in Top Cut in round 1. They destroyed us. Beat us 3-0. It was just like, it was basically like round 1 of the North American Open. It was just like, let's try using Respawn Punisher. I don't know. We can't beat the Collapsia is pretty good. I don't know how good they are compared to Priority or Chai Tai, but I would assume they're top 3. White Wolves, I remember. So what's interesting about all this, the vast majority of the teams in this tournament, I've commentated their grand finals. I commentated them when they won Link. Heck, Luau, Xanadu, and the Grillers, I've actually brought on and interviewed them on the Popcast after they won Low Link. So I'm very familiar with a good chunk of these teams. White Wolves, it was so long ago. I think they beat Stargaze was the team they knocked out, which is a huge win, but I don't know how good White Wolves is now. I haven't been following up with them. Primera was a real surprise when they won, but I believe that was more of like a pickup team. I think they used some saxophone duck players. So I don't know how good the Primera team is compared to everybody else. Splatter Swim is interesting because Omega, one of their I don't want to say their best player, but one of their key players doesn't play for Splatter Swim anymore. Now plays for Mom Jeans Splatoon, which is an actual team name, not just a pickup name. But is coming back just for this tournament to play with Splatter Swim. So it's like, okay, if Splatter Swim gets some wins here, it's just nice. It's not like, oh, well, this means Splatter Swim going forward is going to be this. No, it's because they're using a player that's no longer with them. Same thing with like Collapsia. Collapsia doesn't exist anymore. They're just back for this tournament. Obviously, Chai Tai just back for this tournament. So this isn't like a what does this tournament mean going forward kind of thing. It's just more of a celebration of Low Ink, and that's how my team is approaching this. Are we approaching this with the mindset of trying to win it? Yeah, absolutely. How many tournaments have I signed up in knowing full well at some point I was going to get destroyed? Literally every single one except for Low Ink or Ash Cup or maybe this upcoming SAC we might have a shot to win some stuff there. But like you always know there's that team that's going to knock you out. That doesn't stop you from playing in a tournament. Would it be nice? Would it be nice if this tournament was something like Destiny Troops, Xanadu, Grillers, Luau, Splatter Swim, Assault to Pepper? And I don't know where Blue Ring Kraken fits into all this because they beat Valhalla, but Valhalla seems a lot better than some of these teams, honestly. So I don't know where BRK fits in. But if we just took like those 6 teams, honestly, if you're looking for competition in this high ink, that's the group you should be focusing on because that's what SAC is going to be next season. And these are all established teams for the most part. Well, maybe not Assault to Pepper. I think they made top 8 at some point, so maybe they're not in SAC. But just in the North American Open, we played Luau. Luau beat us in 2-0, but those games were close, and we scrimmed Luau. We know we're at the level they are. Xanadu, we know we're pretty much even. West Broadway Grillers, we've got the better of them recently, but we know we're even with them. Assault to Pepper, we played Assault to Pepper after we played Luau. We beat them 2-1, but again, another close set that could go either way. So like those are 6 teams right there to where any one of them could beat the other team. It just comes to matter to who makes the least amount of mistakes in the game. Because all those 6 teams are all right with each other. That's going to be the matches. If you guys are upset about what the unbalancedness of this tournament, look at that set. Look at those groups because those groups are what is going to be SAC next season. It's going to be a preview of what's to come in January. That's how I'm viewing this. Grand Finals, Priority versus Chai Tai. That'll be exciting to do, or exciting to see for sure. And keep in mind, one last point I'll make about this. The reason this is unbalanced is because of what Low Ink used to be. Low Ink used to be unbalanced. And there's a reason for that. It's because when Low Ink started out, it was a really small tournament. Priority and Chai Tai, those guys won a long time ago. They've had a lot of time to improve and get better since then. And they were probably way better than Low Ink skill level at the time that they played. But they had no resume or no information to keep them out of playing in Low Ink. So there's no real... So like, Low Ink now. Low Ink today. 100 teams sign up for it. It's a 2-day system. And there's a lot more thought that goes into it. The verification team is huge. And we look at literally every single player and everything you've ever done ever. So Low Ink is a well-run, operated machine at this point, which is why the past Low Inks have been so fantastic and competitive and close, and why we're starting to produce champions that are around the same level as each other each time. Priority and Chai Tai come from a different era. the dark ages of Low Ink. That's why they're playing in this. Now, should they be allowed? Absolutely. They won Low Ink. That's something to be proud of. That's something to celebrate. And that's what this tournament is. It's a celebration of past champions. Whoever finishes like in 12th place in this tournament, you, you you'd be an idiot to think less of them, because a good chunk of you in chat have failed to do something that team has done, which is win a low ink tournament. And this is just closing statements on this. This is the last. This is like a one-time thing. This has been in production or in the works for a long time. I've been keeping an eye on it because I'm in the staff server, but I'm not going to like give details or anything. But it was already been publicly announced that there is no plans for like a second high ink in the future. But now you guys would love to play in this tournament. I guarantee you guys would love to play in this, even if Priority is here, even if Chai Tai or Kalopsia or who knows what White Wolves is capable of, even though those teams are in there, you guys would love to play in this tournament, because just being invited to this, you've already won. And that's going to be your goal for next year. You're going to want to win low ink next year or this December, so that in the next time there is a high ink, your team's going to come back and play in it, and you're going to be hyped. You're going to get an announcement tweet with a trailer of your team, and you're going to celebrate it, and it's going to be a fun time. So there you go. Now, am I going to sit here and say where my team is going to end up? Nope. That's a trap. I'm not doing a top 10 for this. Some people have asked. Here's why. I do a top 10 for low ink because I don't have to play any of you guys. I can say, I think this team is the 5th best team in this low ink, knowing full well I don't have to play them. And if I come up across them, they're going to be like, hey, Popgun said I'm the 5th best team here. Let's beat them and show them. And then they play my team stronger than what they normally would. And it's like, uh-oh. I'm not trying to give anybody bulletin board material here. So I'm not gonna sit here and call out anybody or say I'm gonna beat anyone. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. But if you want a team that I predict will win this tournament, I think it's gonna be Priority. And I don't think it's controversial to say that. Anyways, I think we'll beat Destiny Troops. You got to get past Destiny Poops first. Bland Cube. Let's wrap this up. That concludes this episode of the Popcast. Here's a small announcement I want to make. This is the 22nd episode of the Popcast. The last Monday of the year is going to be the 25th episode. It just works out that way. I didn't plan it out like that. So that is going to be the 28th. There's going to be no tournaments to talk about that day. There's going to be nothing like there might be like a small tournament to recap. Maybe a little Squid League is on that Saturday beforehand or something like that. Here's what I want to do. I want to do like a state of the lower level community episode. I want to talk about what happened this whole year as far as the lower level community. And I want your guys' input on it. So here's what I'm going to do. At some point, I'm going to put out a tweet. And I'm going to want you guys to make nominations for certain things. I want to know who the lower level team of the year is. The player of the year. The captain of the year. A variety of other categories of that as well. And I want you guys to nominate people and then submit. We'll do some sort of voting system, and we'll come up with some sort of like set of here are the awards for the best of the best for the entire year, something like that. It's been in the works in my brain. I don't know how I officially want to go about it, but that is something I want to do. TO of the year, actually, yes, TO of the year is actually something I do want to point out as well, because TOs don't get love at all. You nominate JPEG? Okay, well, there you go. JPEG's already got 2 nominations. There you go. So keep out an eye for that. Thanks once again to everybody who's been following. If you want to reach out to me to be a part of the podcast in any way, feel free to reach me at Twitter at Mr._Popgun. Discord at popgun #5882. Oh, Twitch at popgun25, and YouTube at 25 popgun. I save all of my VODs on to YouTube now. I only keep them for 14 days on Twitch. Now, I am kind of looking to get this onto Spotify. I will, if I can figure out how to do that this week, I will release that information on Spotify. A lot of people have been asking about that. But for the time being, if you're not listening to this on Spotify right now, you're probably watching it on YouTube. So there you go. Let's raid. You know what? This guy is the NEENJAAA. Okay, let me make sure I got this. This is one of the commentators from yesterday's tournament, so it makes sense to raid them to give them support. This is Matt or Ninja. Let me make sure I got that correct. That is him. Okay, cool. Thank you for watching. Please wear a mask. And don't overreact. Don't overreact to the weekend. Just enjoy it. It's a fun time. Unless it wasn't.